Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who is finally reviewing some new music. It's been about a week. I had my dad's funeral. I've had kind of a busy week, but I'm really excited to talk about the new album from Slowthai, Ugly, Ugly. He's got no alibi. Now, the basic theme of this album comes from a quote in one of the songs. "The world is ugly and so am I." And that basic thesis is the point of this whole album. But I don't know if that's how I'm going to frame this whole video. If you're new to my videos, I don't give scores, I don't give grades, I just give thoughts. Now, I try to come up with some sort of framing device for every album that's, sort of a different way of thinking about it. And usually that leads to a sort of engaging thumbnail. The last time I reviewed Slowthai, his album Tyron, I said Tyron or Try Hard. I was kind of playing around with the idea of him as being a rapper who's very good, but potentially he's trying too hard to be something important and not allowing himself just to be a good rapper. When I made that video, I was not as good as I am now at being a music reviewer. And when Slowthai made that album, he wasn't as good as he is now. This album is a huge step forward, a really delightful, interesting album. But I still haven't figured out how I'm going to phrase it, how I'm going to give you a framing device. So you tell me. Okay, engagement. Here we go. You tell me in the comments, what do you vote for? These are my different titles and thumbnails I have in mind. We Yachty, or We Lil Yachty, playing on the fact that we is the British way of saying Lil. And obviously, Lil Yachty released the best ever rock and roll and rap hybrid album earlier this year. And then Slowthai is like, hold me point, and makes a comparable album. I don't think it's as good or as moving as Lil Yachty's. It may be more original. They're certainly in conversation with one another. I don't think they are in reaction to one another, but there appears to be some sort of a rare successful hybridization between rock and hip hop happening on either sides of the Atlantic. Slowthai is from the Midlands in England, and Lil Yachty's from Atlanta. So that's one of my thumbnails. Tell me, do you like that one? The other one I was thinking of was Slowthai, a play on Yeezus by Kanye West. This album feels a lot like Kanye West's now known as Ye album Yeezus, one of my favorite albums of all time. It's unhinged, it has rough production, it stretches the definition of the meaning rap, and it's all about self-destruction. And you get the feeling. I remember I saw the Yeezus tour twice because I was so certain that Kanye was in such a bad state that he was going to die before he would come around again. Unfortunately, he would go on the Pablo tour. A show so bad I left early, but I'm happy he's still alive. So, is that what this is? Is this, especially with the opening song and a couple songs, it has that real, raw, self-destructive, is it rap, is it not, is it electro, is it punk, is it industrial, is it, what is it, right? So, We Yachty, Slowthai, Slow Streets. The British rapper, Mike Skinner, is that his name? Principal Skinner? Whoever it is, I think it's something Skinner. One of the better British rappers. The reason that I think he's one of the better British rappers is he was very British in his presentation, the stories that he told. I think his raps were very close to a lot of other sort of working class British songs that would tell a lot of stories about living poor and miserable in capitalist England, and then getting a lot of money and then being self-destructive and sort of bemoaning the iniquity of British culture. So I see that in here as well. So, We Yachty, Slowthai, Slow Streets, or Joy de Tyron. That doesn't work. The idea is mixing together Joy Division and Tyron, right? His real name. This might be the most annoying to people, but there are multiple times when listening to this album, I heard Ian Curtis from Joy Division in the way that he's singing. That sort of frailty, that vulnerability. I think rap artists sing the best when they don't sing well. So going back to the old days, Biz Markie, Old Dirty Bastard, I don't think it's great that rappers use so much auto-tune now. I don't think they need to be able to sing. When there's that kind of character and that frailty in the voice, that's wonderful, and that's what I hear here. And also, it reminds me strongly of Ian Curtis. At times, also reminds me of Coldplay. Sorry. Can't help it. I hear Chris Martin in there. Musically, the thing I hear the most is probably Pixies, which kind of goes into the final potential headline, the potential title, We Yachty, Slowthai, Slow Streets, Joy to Tyron, or is this the best post-punk album of the year? We've had some good post-punk albums this year. Is this the best? Is this going to be the best? Can it be the best when we have a rap artist making it? Is it actually a post-punk album or is it not? That's the easiest way we could approach this album. Is it even a rap album? It has so many great elements of the post-punk moment. Of course, it's British. It's produced all by Dan Carey, who produced Wet Leg, and all the Fontaines DC. A great producer. Even there's like this moment where musicians in this sort of post-punk moment in England are the post-Brexit, post-punk, I don't like that term, but that's the term they use, are for their new albums getting marquee producers. Like Idol's got Kenny Beats, Shame got Flood, and here we have Slowthai getting Dan Carey. I don't know. I think all of those things together are what make this such a good and powerful album and why I'm so excited to talk about it. First of all, the most important thing is it's really listenable. It's very good. It's exciting. Like, you get a real sense that you understand this person. You connect to them. It's all well produced. It's all well written. But just all these other feelings you get of a great rock hip hop combination that reminds you of peak Kanye and the Streets, but also Joy Division and also Wet Leg. That's a lot of interesting things all happening at once. I will say that when I first listened to the album, my headphones were busted, so I was using my old headphones, and the left ear had this crazy buzz to it that made it sound kind of gnarly and cool, and it actually worked with it. And it's sort of a good sign of the production of this album that it actually gave into this sort of punky post-punk feel. It's fair to ask if it's a rap album. People are going to do that in the same way they will with Lil Yachty. Of course it is. This is a hip-hop artist who expresses himself through rap music. He does not have to make rap music that sounds like what the listener thinks rap music sounds like. It can sound like a lot of things. It does the things that rap music does. It's the voice of the voiceless. It is an expression of self. It is largely rhymed and largely spoken, but there happens to be a lot of singing on here as well, a lot of guitars. But this is what I love. Between Lil Yachty and Slowthai, we're having a real breakdown of that line between rock and hip hop. For most of its existence, that line, when it's been taken apart, has been taken apart as a novelty. Whatever, the Judgment Night soundtrack or Walk This Way with Aerosmith, just sort of like a, what if we did this? Okay, my second concert was Public Enemy and Anthrax, okay? So I go way back with this merger, with this merging of genres. But I feel like it's actually attaining some level of quality now. So let me give you a stamp, an example of what this whole album is like. I'm going to go with the first track, Click Above the Banana, Above Wet Leg, with the song Yum. Yum. This is a cover of Justin Bieber's Yummy. And what I really like, it's not a cover of Yummy. Todd in the Shadows has a great video about the song Yummy. Man, that song sucks. So, the other person this album reminds me of, very positively, is the British rapper Dave. his album Psychodrama, Psychosomatic, Psychosis? Psychoanalysis, whatever it was. His one before the last one was a great sort of talking to your therapist, working your way through your problems. This reminds me of that. But this opening track, Yum, this is just the straight Yeezus. Just absolute self-destruction. Starts off and then self-reflection. And then starts breathing to start. And the song feels like I Am a God, right at the beginning, the Yeezus song, And then he says, you're a king, you're a queen, you're a genius, all these great feelings, all these sort of positive things to say about yourself. But then obviously it's clearly that's not what it is. And the music come in, it's synth-based and cool, later kind of like thumpy sounds, very rhythmically interesting. More coke, more weed, more ease, more trip, more naughty, more sex, less stress, head yes, you want to be my empress, more bass, more raves, more shades, want to try, save face, more alcohol, we ain't going home till we broke, till we catch us all. Like the whole theme of self-destruction and excess. The album is really about the hole that's at the center of him. He doesn't really go into why the hole is there, although if you listen to Tyron, that's a little bit more sort of explaining why he has this hole. This album is about his failure to fill that hole and the disastrous consequences. And the idea, and this is what he says in the outro, never enough, one drink's never enough, one drink's never enough, excuse me while I self-destruct because I don't give an F. Lacking motivation, need intervention. He talks about talking to a therapist and getting pissed off, which is great. You can fake talking about going to therapy, but there's always a point where you get pissed at your therapist. That's like a good and natural thing. And the thing that makes this so interesting, and why it so positively reminds me of Yeezus, is it feels real. And it feels real because, okay, the song's about failed therapy and sex and drugs, but then the second verse is this really, really uncomfortable, don't listen to it in a car on the way to your dad's funeral with your family kind of way, as an example. His whole verse about having sex with someone who's all coked up and he can't ejaculate and his trouble, and like it's really, really vulgar, but the details are so pathetic. You get so uncomfortable. It's so not sexy. It's so painful. It feels like Whiskey Dick the musical, but like worse. It's an amazingly effective. And this is what, again, to go back to the artist formerly known as Ye, what he was able to do was just throw in some of those details where you're like, oh man, this really happened. So if this really happened, then the feelings are also real. It's on site, mixed with I Am a God, and a side of Black Skinhead. It all works. And then in the end, there's this weird little computer nightmare before this breathing exercise, where he does a breathing exercise. And this is funny. I've gone to meditation classes before. I went to meditation classes at my church. I don't go to church much anymore, but I went for a fair amount there, the Episcopal Church, England. And there was this like meditation service they would have once a week, but it was weird because the woman who led it had stage 4 cancer and was dead within like a month of starting the whole thing, and everyone else who was there had been with her for years, so it was this weird sort of sense of mourning, and already like how am I supposed to clear my mind when I'm that close to death? Anyways, but part of the whole thing is just controlling your breathing. But the thing is, when you're really stressed out, controlling your breathing leads to overbreathing, leads to when people tell you just count your breaths, you're like, okay, fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna give myself an asthma attack. I do have asthma. And this illustrates that perfectly. Someone is trying to get him to calm down, to breathe properly, but he can't. I'm 45. But if I heard this album when I was 23, 24, 25, I would have been like, he sees me. These are all the emotions that I felt, all the issues I went through. I wasn't doing coke, but emotionally I was, like this whole like feeling of self-destruction and worthlessness. It is so well put. It's so well done. Next song is called Selfish. Very strong bass line. This is where it's like, oh, it's just a rock album. It's a post-punk album. Kind of chugging drum lines. My back itches. I don't edit my videos either. If you're new here, It's just going to itch. It's in the wrong place. Smash the like button, and that will scratch my back for me. That's the stupidest thing I've ever said. Hey, if this is the first video you ever watched of mine, you just saw me say the stupidest thing I've ever said. But this song really announces its intentions. You know, it's all led with this guitar line. It's just a great rock song. It's just a great rock song that at times also reminds me of another great British band, Prodigy, just in the way that he sings. And just these lyrics, people suck dick to climb a pyramid, it makes me sick. They're just thinking for themselves. All the accents I do are weird approximations of British accents. I don't know if I'm doing them well. I don't mean to offend anybody. I also just watched that Irish movie that's nominated for the Oscar. So I might break into an Irish accent. But this great idea of, you know, trying to climb the pyramid makes me sick. It does fit in with just sort of general British malaise at the stratification of society, hypercapitalism, the sort of semi-caste system that exists in all societies, but in English society perhaps more pronouncedly. Reminds me strongly of Tom York in that way. Talks about jealousy and this whole idea of like just thinking for themselves and selfishness. I wonder if this isn't sort of a post-COVID song, sort of responding to the selfishness of people thinking for themselves and doing their own research, which inevitably leads to them doing what they want to do. Next song is called Sooner. It's a song about Oklahoma college football. So another thing, all my jokes are bad, but you can look. I don't have notes. I don't have a script. I have notes. That joke is not on there. That's an improvised clunker. Sooner is an interesting song because it feels to me that it's intentionally a call to the song Lust for Life by Iggy Pop, which I think no longer belongs to Iggy Pop. I think Lust for Life is no longer a song by the great Michigan punk, proto-punk god. I think it belongs to the British. It belongs to Trainspotting, the trailer for Trainspotting. I think when I hear this kind of beat, I think of Ewan McGregor strung out, jumping over cars. And I would predict that's what most people think. You know, sometimes songs just get lost. They get taken, and I think it's been taken. But it sort of reminds me of Lust for Life if it were covered by the Pixies, which is a fun idea. Cool kind of like harmonics tricks by the Pixies, the general production. He says, "You are what you eat, I must be nothing." Did I mention this is an emo album? I want to take a brief moment, this has nothing to do with the music, but I am a scholar, okay? And I study a lot about food. And often, "you are what you eat" is attributed to being a French saying, that it's similar to a French saying, "tell me what you eat, I will tell you who you are." So the French quote comes from Brillat-Savarin, one of the great cookbook writers and first people to really understand the way to talk about and contextualize food. "You are what you eat" is by some guy, an American named Victor Lindlar, who is some kind of nutrition book. And I just want to take a second to help you understand the difference between American mentality and European mentality, because they're drastically different. "You are what you eat" puts all of the power in the person eating. It's an American idea. If I am what I eat, then I eat good stuff, therefore I'm good. The French, in specific, and I would say Europeans in general, believe in expertise. Don't believe that the customer is always right. So Brillat-Savarin's line, "tell me what you eat, I'll tell you what you are," goes to their mentality that you can have an expert. So if I eat cauliflower all day and I think that makes me a good person, I am what I eat. But if I need an expert to tell me, "I ate cauliflower all day," and then "you are a flatulent fool," that's what they would say. So anyways, just a brief aside. I like this song because it's a party jam. And this album is weird because there's a lot of party jams. Like I do plan on buying it. Patreon's give me money. I use that money to buy music. I didn't buy Tyrone. But this album is just very enjoyable. It has like lots of highs and lows. The next song, "Feel Good," not a James Brown cover. You know it's like not going to be good. Like if he says feels good, you know he probably feels good for a bad reason. But cool kind of like post-punk, like bass and a couple of voices, poppy keyboard sounds, and about how good it is to feel alive. It feels so good when you feel alive. And maybe this is a drug song, or maybe it's just about how it feels good when you feel alive, but he never feels alive. Never Again is a fascinating song. It opens up kind of jazzy, you know, kind of warbled, sung bass, kind of dreary. Never Thought I'd See You Again. Cool bass work happening here. This is the only example I'd say on the album where the production is very modular. There's different sections to the song. And then we get this very clean drum line about seeing someone in the market, someone's parents in the market, and talking about Stuart. Almost a 90s pavement style chorus. And then the post-chorus becomes what is basically the Amen break by the Winstons, which is the basis of all the jungle beats, which you probably know best from Straight Outta Compton. It's that drum beat. It sounds like that. And then it keeps going on until the first time I listened, I didn't even notice until the end that this was a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So then I had to like listen to it again while there's this great bass and nice little guitar here. And it's a story about a guy who met his ex's parents who were upset about the ex's fiance or husband, and then he runs into her and she's kind of mean to him, and then it turns out that that mean guy ended up killing her, and he discovered that in the barbershop. And that's the whole kind of story. That's that kind of storytelling aspect. That's what reminds me a little bit of the Streets, because the Streets is able to tell those kinds of stories. And again, this is sort of that sort of Joy Division-y, new order-ish sounding production here. Next song is called Fuck It, Puppet. I like saying that. Fuck it, puppet. It's a good word. Good words. Good multisyllabic slanted rhyme. That's what that is. Because fuck and pup rhyme, but the consonant sounds are different. And it and et, pup it, pup it. This song is alone on the album. It's a rap song. Here we go. Actual funk beat. Cool, crazy little melody. Great rap chorus. It's just a rap song. It's a great beat. Seriously, listen to this again and imagine the vocals aren't there. Like, this is one of those, like, style of beats. It's just so strong. Cool kind of, like, doubled voice, talking about suicide and cocaine. I sort of think this album could just be called Suicide and Cocaine. Those appear to be the two main themes. And then we get to the song Happy, which is a cover of the Pharrell song. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with the cover jokes. Thinking with My Dick, sort of weird self-hatred. A lot of self-hatred with drugs, self-hatred with women. Guitar and bass and just rock drums. It's Okay to Cry, the way he sings that. Kind of reminds me of Chris Martin, but don't tell anybody, okay? That'll be our secret that I said. It reminded me of Chris Martin. Talks about wanting to run away, and then he keeps like spelling out the words Happy, it's okay to cry. I love this combination, like implying there's a connection between crying and being happy, which of course there is, because you can't be happy if you're not in touch with your emotions. You can't be in touch with your emotions unless you're able to cry. I don't know if that's what he's saying, but I like how Happy he spells out, and then the next song is Ugly, which is also spelled out. Now this song I listened to 5 times in a row, driving down to Rhode Island where we buried my dad. Just, oh my God. I mean, I know, it's the Fontaines DC playing. You can tell me in the comments. I know, it's great. I love Fontaines DC. They are a great band. Truly, truly great band. Are we rowing? Right? They're great. And they're great here, but I think they're great here because they remind me of the Pixies. Just the way it's produced, the distance, the space, and like really not really rapping, really singing, but just this chorus. Ugly, Ugly. Now apparently this means you gotta love yourself. That's like the joke, which I like. I like the idea of those things being mixed up. Kind of like, you know, Thug Life by Tupac actually meant the hate you give little infants fucks everyone. the idea of UGLY, you gotta love yourself. Like, it's true, because if you don't love yourself, then you're going to feel ugly. The kind of paradox, you know. If you don't love little infants, you're going to have more thugs, UGLY. And he's just screaming, and we're puppets in a simulation, tying back to fuck it, puppet. You are not in control. Just another one of these just... Oh my God, I did use this word. Look at this. I used this word. I'm such a Generation Z guy. I said banger. Now, I also started with the word some. I don't know what that was. I type up all my notes on my notes app. But it is a banger. Just a roaring post-punk song, while also, much like Lil Yachty, using some of the tools and the tricks of emo rap to convey emotion. Next song is called Falling. This is the most Ian Curtis song, I think. Just bass and singing, just a ride cymbal, just simple and good song about falling and about this feeling, which fits in with the rest of the album. What's funny is the next song, third person. Most of the album is in first person. Oh, I can't stop wanting to do coke and kill myself, right? You know, there's going to come a point where I don't think it's okay how bad my British accents are. Tell me in the comments, should I stop doing my British accents, or are they a source of comedy because I'm so bad at them? But, you know, this is the third person. He's not singing about himself. He's singing about a single mother who's really poor. This might be a comment on the economic situation in England. My son, who pays a lot of attention to political science, says that things are going to get really bad in England. That, like, historically bad, like economically and socially in England. That's his prediction. Who knows if he's right? But I would trust him because he studies that stuff a lot, which I really hope isn't true, because I don't like people suffering. But then the whole thing is basically around the following thesis: human suffering is not funny. Now, that might seem like a simplistic thing to say. It's not. People often laugh at misery. People often laugh, in this case, about a teacher who became a junkie and ended up homeless. You know, like, people laugh for a couple reasons. One, because they're uncomfortable. Another is the sort of schadenfreude, you know, like, I'm happy it's not me. Another way is a corrective laughter. You know, going back to Henry Bergson, actually a guy named Saint-Oeil, 17th century French scholar, ridendo castigat mores, laughter corrects behavior. There is a certain degree to which we laugh at people for their misfortune as a way to sort of, as a society, correct them. That if we laugh at them, then we have established what the rules of society are, and they have broken the rules, and they are punished, and we can now laugh at them. What's funny? But it's not funny. You know, the teacher ended up being a junkie. That's not funny. It's human suffering. We need to have empathy, not derision. This guy is great. Man, I was a total hard ass on the last one. Is he a try-hard or not? Can you go back to my old video and tell me I suck? I want to see at least 50 people go back to my other... You don't have to watch it. My old Slowthai review and just say, you suck. Do that. But then I'll forget that I said that, and then I'll read all the comments, and I'll be like, why does everybody think I suck? Oh, by the way, I read every comment. Did you know that? I read every comment. Usually more than once. I don't respond to all of them because my kids say it makes me seem desperate, but I love it. It's like I check my comments 20 times a day. It's fun for me. It's like that's the main thing I like to do on my phone. I'm not thinking about anything because I like sort of, even if I don't talk back to you, I do have a little conversation, you know. Next song is called Tourniquet. Very, very cool guitar line, kind of epic leading up towards the end here. Epic piano. Jokes aren't funny. Very kind of punk style screaming. Ends with strings and whining sounds. And then the whole album ends with 25% club. Almost a waltz here. Like nice, kind of sweet and cool. Very well sung. He's a very good singer as well. Kind of a consciously sweet outro. I don't like how the drum machine at the end sort of takes away from the acoustic guitar, the sort of electronic versus acoustic feeling. It's a little bit, but whatever. Am I Dan Carey? Did I produce Skintifia? Did I produce Leg? No. So there's one production thing which I would have done differently. But maybe it's Questarco, the other producer who produced his last album. We both have to break like porcelain plates, but I've got some glue we can rebuild. Ooh, what is real? Just another example of his style of lyrics, which are really good. So tell me in the comments, how should I change which of these titles? Wee Yachty, Slow Thesis, Slow Streets, Joy to Tyrant, or is this the best post-punk album of the year? These are my Patreons. They're going to give me money, and then that's going to help me to buy this album because I really like it. I have a new box set part, Logan Henry. He wants me to review Feu Chatterton, which I'm going to, but only for Patreons. So you can do that too. That's how you can get me to review your thing. Give me money. I would do it for free, but I have a job. Shit. I have to grade. I have so much grading to do. I have so much grading to do. Can I just keep talking to you? Can we do like an AMA? Sky, what kind of car do you have? I have a 2011 Toyota Sienna. The brake line broke, so it's getting fixed right now. Has 186,000 miles on it. Thank you for asking. Okay, I have to stop. Oh, also there's a Marseille soccer game on. So, allez loin. I guess I'll watch soccer and grade at the same time. That's what I'm going to do. You didn't ask. There's the camera.